Today on This is Parkinson's, I'm really excited for you to meet my friend Lisa. She was diagnosed with Parkinson's 2 years after her father passed away with Parkinson's. We're also talking to her daughter to kind of understand the dynamics of what it looks like when Parkinson's might be in your DNA. So let's dive in. Well, welcome to This is Parkinson's, and I'm excited today to bring in another friend of mine, Lisa Cope from Omaha, Nebraska. And Lisa and I share the same diagnosis of early onset Parkinson's. We share the same first name. We even went to the same high school, and we didn't know that until many years later. And Seth, but what we're going to talk about is kind of generational Parkinson's. And Lisa, welcome to This is Parkinson's.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for the introduction. I'm so glad to be here. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah. So, when I learned your story, you were diagnosed 2 years after your father had passed away. Is that correct?
I was diagnosed, yes, correct, 2 years.
2 years after your father, and he happened to pass away with Parkinson's. But the historical story of Parkinson's in your family's life goes even further back. Is that correct?
Correct. My grandmother, my dad's mom had Parkinson's. She was diagnosed with it, and they didn't know a lot back then, and she kind of just gave up, and she had other health issues too. But yes, his mom had it. My dad was diagnosed around the same age as me. I think he was 2 years earlier. And then my mother-in-law has it as well. I know not the same family, but we're married families.
Surrounded by Parkinson's, it seems.
Yep.
And then, I think about like my grandparents, and when my grandparents got sick and such, it was kind of um, accepted. Well, they're getting older. This is something that just happens when you get older. And then as we get older, and then we have to experience some of those diagnoses, it's not as easy. So, but tell me a little bit and the one thing I do want folks to know is they can hear more of your story on our website, thisisparkinsons.org, because we had a great conversation. But I want people to know a little bit more about how you came about to your diagnosis, because your grandmother had it, your father has it, and then all of a sudden you're kind of experiencing some things that go, maybe I should have this looked at, right?
Right. That's probably the question I've been asked the most by family and friends is, how did you know? How did you know? And then there was signs, and I look back now after the diagnosis that there were earlier signs, but the first thing was just putting on my mascara, and I had to hold my one arm up because I'm different than most women, and I put my left eye on with my left hand and my right eye on with my right hand. My right hand wasn't working. That's my non-dominant side, and majority of Parkinson's, not all, but it usually starts on your non-dominant side. And I noticed some internal tremors in my leg on my right side, everything on my right side. So I called my mom and I said, what side of did Dad's Parkinson's start on? And she said, his right side. He was left-handed like me. And I just said, shoot. I didn't tell her then because I didn't want to, but that's when I connected all the dots that um, there's a likelihood that that's what I have. So I just kind of kept it to myself. I didn't even tell my husband.
Tell me though what it felt like before you even told your husband, and you kind of had that deep down pit in your stomach going, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. What was
Yeah,
that like?
I mean, that's when I really was pretty confident I had it, and I just chose to. I didn't really want to scare anyone until I, had an appointment with the movement specialist neurologist. And then my younger sister, took us all on a trip to Cozumel to treat. And so I was there with my other sister, her boyfriend, my sister and her husband, and my mom, and me and my husband. And that's when I told my mom and sisters that I was going to go see a neurologist. They were very surprised. And when I told even our friend Amy, who's a speech pathologist specializing in Parkinson's, her immediate reaction was, "Oh, you don't have it. I don't see anything." That's the response that I got from everybody that I told that I was going to see a neurologist. I don't see any signs of it. Like, well, you don't see it, but it's there, So, um, Even now, sometimes I have people say that, but it's definitely progressed. But yeah, so that was it. And then, unfortunately, I chose to go to the meeting by myself instead of my husband had a business meeting he couldn't get out of, and then my sister offered to go with me, and I went by myself. And looking back, I probably should have had somebody there with me.
Because you get the news by yourself and the appointment was the doctors with the neurologist and they're confirming your suspicions and you're like, I could go by myself. And
Yeah.
now, I mean, tell me what that felt like when you got that news that you didn't really want to hear.
Well, I'll tell you, I was driving to the appointment, and I remember I got off the interstate and I was sitting at the red light to go left towards the med center, and George Michael's song, "You Gotta Have Faith," I think that's the title of it. I was singing along with it, and I'm like, "What an appropriate song! I gotta have faith." So I'm talking to my dad in heaven. So like, "Come on, Dad, you gotta help me out here." And then, sorry. So it is what it is, but I just remember that they started bringing in people. They gave me the diagnosis. So I'm sitting in a room full of strangers crying. And I'm like, why did I do this by myself? But maybe it was better. I didn't have to put somebody else through it. So,
You know, Lisa, you always are concerned about what the impact that you have on other people's lives. But when your father was diagnosed with Parkinson's and his symptoms to progress, your immediate reaction was, I got to go home to Nebraska and help my family,
yep.
right?
Yes, 100%. And it was a win-win for all of us because Omaha was a better place for our family too. And I was I was able to be here for my dad and my mom as a caregiver.
And then you're in the same breath going, well, I didn't have to burden somebody else with my appointment. And, because you're thinking of it in that capacity. And if you don't mind, well, I want to kind of talk about two things. You and I have talked about you always wish for the day when you didn't wake up and think about Parkinson's. And you want that one day because it's life before Parkinson's, life after, and you don't want to burden other people and stuff. But I have to bring in your beautiful daughter, Sammy, who's joining us from Nashville. And can you tell me, because you did tell me this a while back, that you got to have that one day without Parkinson's. And it was for Sammy's special day, her beautiful wedding in Nashville
Yes.
last year. Can you tell me a little bit about,
Yeah,
because
that's
Parkinson's didn't get the invite, is what we said.
no, it definitely didn't get the invite. And it honestly was the one day. Hi, Sammy. Um,
Hi.
it was the only day that I can remember that I really didn't wake up thinking about it, didn't think about it during that day, probably that whole weekend, but especially that day because it was a magical weekend with family. And having your only daughter get married, your first child to get married, the first actual wedding in on that side of the family. So it was just so much love and happiness, and um, it was hot as heck, but it turned out great.
And Sammy, it was, your mom was telling us all about it prior to, and she couldn't wait to just get to that day. And it was, you were a stunning, beautiful bride. And I mean, and the fact that you wore your mother's wedding dress from when she got married to your dad from 1997, such a beautiful, special moment that you were able to surprise her. Tell me a little bit about what it was like to have your mom feeling fantastic on your wedding day.
Well, that was something that was always in my head with every step of the planning. I was like, I just know that traditionally there's obviously like the bride and the dad dance, but I was thinking, how do I give my mom a moment? Because no offense to my dad, but he didn't really do as much for the wedding emotionally, energy wise. He definitely helped financially, which is great. But there's just so much planning that just my mom and her mom and her sisters, like, they all did, but I was like, my mom obviously has the main responsibility here, plus, like, you know, I'm her only daughter, we have a special connection, so I just wanted to think of a way to incorporate her into the wedding, and that's why I ended up wearing her dress. And you had no idea, Mom, right?
No, and just to clarify, you had your own dress that you got married in, and then you came out in the middle of the reception. I had sent the dress to her, but I just thought maybe she was going to turn it into a purse and a robe, and then maybe she'd turn it into a completely different dress, and she left it exactly the same, and it fit you exactly like it fit me.
Well, that was my thought too, is I was like, maybe I'll take her dress and do like, turn it into a reception dress, like, shorten it, chop it or something, but then I tried it on, and it fit like a glove, and that was after I had, like, lost some weight too, and so I was just like I just happened to be in the perfect shape to wear that dress, and I was like, "I can't do anything to this dress, it's too pretty." So I got it dry cleaned because there was a stain on it from her wedding still 30 years later,
Whoops.
and, oops. And now mine is still stained, so maybe my stains will stay for 30 years too on my dress. But then it fit so perfectly, I was like, "Okay, I'll do my dance with my dad, but then I'm gonna go sneak off and change into her dress and surprise her with a dance
It was
to
so special.
Slip Into My Fingers," which is, like, one of the most famous mother-daughter songs of all time, probably, and one that's very special to us. We love that song.
Yep, you
It reminds
introduced
me
me
Well,
of when
to it.
I moved away. Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful moment, and again, I went for those who are listening, they can watch this beautiful moment in your story on our website of thisisparkinsons.org. But Sammy, I wanna talk to you a little bit because, you were a young child when you were living in Texas and moving back to Nebraska. You didn't know what Nebraska was gonna be like, and you just heard grandpa has Parkinson's, we're gonna go help him. And then you find out, 2 years after your grandfather passes and you're more of you're certainly more grown up than when you first moved to Nebraska. Parkinson's has always been a part of your life. How did you deal with hearing about your mom's diagnosis?
It was just a huge shock at first. It was like I mean, part of me wasn't shocked because I was like, "I guess it is genetic," and but I guess, her brother and her sisters didn't really have it, and so I just assumed, like, there's no way that she really has it, right? And then it kinda just all sank in, and we all were like, "Well, if this is how it's gonna be, then we're just gonna ride the wave with her," you know?
Yeah. But do you think because you've seen it in your grandfather and now you see it in your mother, is it a different disease from between the two people?
Yes and no. It's a different disease for my mom because I think my mom, no offense to Papa, just takes a little better care of herself, you know? She decided to quit smoking before she had all her kids, and she's always dedicated her life to staying active, so in that way, I think it looks different on her because I think she has a better chance to really show up every day and fight it, and because of the actions she made before she was even diagnosed, but I also think, yes, it's the same disease because it's having the same effects on her, like, I'm seeing the same, symptoms.
But you talk about how active your mom is. I mean, I was blown away by her, and her commitment to pickleball is like none other. And she cannot miss it. She won't miss practice. She won't miss tournaments. She kicks people's butts that are way younger and things like this. So
Mhm.
what's it like to see her be so physically active and really try to fight the illness in that way?
It makes me so proud. I still need to come catch a pickleball game because I haven't been able to she's never been playing on any of time that I've visited home. But I'm coming home in, like, a month, so maybe it'll line up then. But,
Oh, yeah.
it's exactly what I've always seen in my mom, and I was scared for a second when she got diagnosed that maybe it was gonna scare her into not being her active, passionate self, and I think it maybe for a second there, it derailed your mom probably a little bit, like, your mental and your motivation, but you got back on track. When you found pickleball, it was just like, this is your reason to go and move, and I know you love to be competitive, and, like, running is one thing, but there's not the fun, the sport of it, and that's what I know motivates you about pickleball because she was also a state champ tennis player, so
Wow.
it's
Oh, and
all in the muscle memory there.
I think your mom is very competitive. And Lisa, talk to me because, you made a decision you and Troy to move your family when your father got sick, but you are very adamant that you do not want to disrupt your children's lives in any way.
number one, I hope to have a different experience than what my dad did. He ended up going into a home for 4 months, which was not a good decision and wasn't a good experience, and that's what was part of his downfall. So I learned a lot from watching the progression in my dad and what to do and what not to do. I think I shared in my story that there was some guilt there that I didn't do enough. I didn't realize that so much that the exercise was truly the best medicine, not the C-Vidopa, levodopa, it's exercise. And I should have been, I felt like I didn't know that enough, that I would have got his butt moving a little bit more, because he would sit in his chair a lot, and that's the worst thing that could. So I try to do differently by, a lot of movement as much as I can. I was on the treadmill about an hour ago. So,
Well, and I think, Lisa, you got to give yourself some credit too, because when your father had Parkinson's, I don't know that there was the same amount of information
sure.
out there, and talking about how beneficial exercise is. Yes, and exercise and eating right is good for all of us. It's harder to do with Parkinson's for sure, and I just don't know that that was kind of communicated as well as it is now. So,
I agree.
you always said that you've done right by your dad by being there, and just that's what you should,
Yeah.
kind of celebrate. But Sammy, have you thought about, and I don't know if you guys talked about this in advance, but and I'm sorry if I am surprising you with questions. Have you thought about, because you live in Nashville, your mom's in Omaha, it's not that far, it's a quick little plane ride, but have you thought about if, or talked with your siblings, if her illness progresses, what decisions you guys might want to make to be closer to her or to help her or support her?
It's definitely something my husband and I have talked about. I've talked with my parents about it, that we plan to move home from Nashville eventually. And that's pretty much kind of where it's at right now is, yeah, like when things get really bad, obviously we'll be coming home, but we're not worried about that happening anytime soon, really. So,
That's right, because your mom is she is a champion, and again, she's consistent, she's committed to her workouts, and as we all know, that the only thing that can slow the progression of Parkinson's is exercise. And Lisa, I want you to also kind of talk about the fact that you have steered clear from the medication for the most part, unless something has
No,
changed. You're not taking any medication.
I'm not, and I'm definitely waited. I was going to start in December, and then I met up with a previous coworker that I worked at PayPal, and he opened a wellness studio in Papillion, and I'm actually going to be starting some peptides. And I didn't want to be starting that are specific to the Parkinson's. So he shared some information with me. So I didn't want to be taking the medicine and doing the peptide injections at the same time, because then I wouldn't know which one was benefiting me. So, but yes, I haven't.
Well, then we're gonna have to check in and see how the peptides do for you
Yeah,
when you
I'm
start
really
taking
anxious to
them. And
start that.
okay, cool. Lisa, so you have your dad, and then you said his mother is the one that had Parkinson's,
Yes,
and then obviously your mother-in-law, different family. Have you done any genetic testing?
I haven't. I originally, after I was diagnosed, I talked to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. They mailed me a kit, and I never did the testing. I talked to all three of the kids about it if they would want to know. There's like 6 or 7 genes that they study, and then they all said yes, and I just kind of put it aside. So in talking with a few people, they said, order a new, I'm ready to do it now. And I'm ordering a new test from the foundation. Because they'll send you out a free test, and then they'll sit down with you and go over what they found and what the markers mean and all of that. So
Yeah. And Sammy, you said you would like to be tested yourself or no?
yeah, I would like to know if I'm carrying a gene that's going to lead to that, I think.
Do you, considering you've never experienced a family that hasn't had a history of Parkinson's, how much does that weigh on your mind? Because you're newlywed, just married, and, you guys are just starting your lives together, as a couple, how much does that weigh on you? Or are you able to just go, life is gonna throw at us what it will? I mean, what's your kind of thoughts?
I mean, it crosses my mind that it's possible, but I also think that you know, your fate is your fate, and your all you can really control is the choices you make right now. And whatever my fate is gonna be, I just know that I'm making the choices right now that I'll be proud of in 5, 10, 20 years, and that's pretty much all I can really be in control of, and so I've completely dedicated my life to fitness, um, for over a year now, like, leading up to the wedding, and just I fell in love with it, and I was like, "I know this is important." My mom has always been a figure of, like, motivation and almost like a coach sometimes, like, just reminding me to never stop moving and never stop, like, giving your body what it needs, and so I feel like that motivation is just really just the only thing that I care about more than where I am or what I'm doing or how much money I'm making. It's like, I just know if I take care of myself and take care of my husband and we take care of each other, that I don't really need to worry about what the end of my life is gonna look like, because 'cause we're not near there yet, you know?
Well, and I think that you've adopted kind of the philosophy that as long as I'm taking care of myself, I can do everything I can to keep whatever it is at bay or just to take the best care of my body. And sometimes we don't do it when we're younger and such. And so, I mean, your mom, I think, Lisa, didn't you have like a fitness studio or business in
I
Texas?
had a children's fitness franchise, 2 territories, and then I also had a women's fitness boot camp that I started with my sister-in-law. So I was in the best shape of my life in my 30s because I was constantly
Which is when
doing.
you were my mom and I
Yeah.
was young, and that was how I saw you, and
And
that was very important for me as a young girl, I think.
and I took each of my kids to some of the kids' fitness classes. They'd come along and help with the equipment and stuff, and so they got to see they and learn a lot about fitness at an early age.
So fitness is also in your DNA, which is awesome. And Sammy's doing the, yes, flexing her muscles. Sammy, let me ask you too, because how old were you when your mom was diagnosed?
22?
21.
1?
Well, it was 20. You weren't 22 yet because I was diagnosed
So
in
21.
May 2nd of 22.
Yeah.
Okay. What have you noticed that has changed with your mom since pre the Parkinson's diagnosis and now that she has been fully diagnosed?
Meaning change as far as what?
Physically,
Is, emotional, physical, or do you just see her just out there just still fighting and just going, "This isn't gonna get me?"
I think she's coming around to that. I don't know if she's all the way there yet, but I know that she's better than where she was a year ago and 2 years ago and even 3 years ago. I think it kinda got you down for a little bit, Mom. Would you agree?
I remember having a breakdown on our lake trip um,
Yeah,
with our family. Yeah, it was fresh. So, but you
and
have to say that I was cracking jokes about it like a month
I
later,
I will
and everybody
I
was
will
like,
defend that.
and I'm just like, is too early, too soon?
No, that was when I was like, "Ah, she's gonna be fine."
Yeah.
But, no, like, I've obviously seen the changes, but I think there was, like, a scary period where I was like, "Oh, I don't that's not my mom. My mom's not the type to be bogged down by somebody telling her anything." Like, she's always kinda the attitude of, like, "You can't really tell me shit. Oh, you're gonna fire me? I'll just go get a better job. Oh, you're gonna try to take this from me? No, I'm gonna email you and get my money back." Like, especially she does that for herself, but she also does that for, of course, like, me and Jake and Grant, like, all her kids, and more than anything. But I also love that she does it for herself, because that is something that I struggle with sometimes, but I always channel you, mom, when I'm thinking of like, I need to stand up for myself. I need to pull myself up by my bootstraps and buck up and just get it back out there because life's not going to stop. The world's not going to stop turning. So
Right.
I think for a second it was okay I mean, there was no right or wrong way to take that news, but I think for a while it was like sad and you had to just navigate the emotional. But then once the physical started to set in, it was like, okay, we got to quit playing the emotional game and we got to actually focus on just being fit and being dedicated to my life, but also still having fun and balancing, like still being able to have a drink and still being able to eat whatever desserts or queso, like all of our favorite things that we love to
You
eat.
have to
Like
get queso in
those are the
there.
things. Queso, margaritas, and chocolate desserts are the thing that I got that gene from you for sure. And
That's because I ate jalapeno poppers every day when I was pregnant with you.
yep. And and now I just make those on like a Tuesday night because I just need them. So
Do-
thanks.
Can I ask a question,
They're good.
Lisa?
Of course.
Sammy, what do you see physically different?
Well, obviously shaking, the tremors are the most apparent.
I always feel like I
Um,
hide those well.
you point them out, mom. You'll be sitting with me and you'll be like, "Look, I'm shaking."
I do not. I
Well, when I had come to town, that's what I remember happening a couple times. But there have also been times where you think you're hiding it and then I just see it and then you catch me seeing it and then you stop it. You know, you can stop it when you like really pay attention
yeah,
to it.
I can.
And I'm like, yeah, I saw that.
So, Sammy, what your mom's got this incurable neurological brain disorder that is we can't slow progression. There's no cure. But you're kind of just saying you guys are in this going, we got this. We're going to figure this out and fight it. Keep fighting it. We've got the fitness in our DNA, and as long as we can have the treats of the margaritas and queso and chocolate. So, but what makes you the most proud of your mom with all of that? Because that is a big diagnosis, and it's a lot of unknowns because there's all kinds of things, symptoms that may happen, may not, and it's very different for your mom and I because we can feel very different on the same day, and so but we have the same illness. What makes you the most proud of your mom in her fight?
I think I'm most proud of how she came around to the mindset of, you know, the answers are within me. I don't need your medicine. I don't need your whatever people are even like physical therapy, like people who, can help. I think she ultimately, and correct me if I'm wrong, mom, but I think you've kind of mentally come to the place of like, I've always had my own back and I always will. And I'm not giving up and just like putting this into some caretaker's hands and like just giving up on, being myself and letting it like take the parts of me that I love because I know that was what made you most sad about your dad was like watching him lose himself. And I know that people will say that's inevitable, but I feel like if anybody was going to prove that wrong, it would be you. And whether that happens or not, we'll find out in the future. But right now, I just see you still being yourself and still going to happy hour and still showing up for the people in your life that you love and like going on the girls' trip every year with your college girlfriends who you still make the effort for, which is just like things that I like. You're still hitting all the goals in your life that I wish to hit when I'm older. And you didn't let the disease get in the way of that. You found a way to work it into your life and to still have your life. And you said, no, I'm not going to just try to like do these certain stretches every day. I'm going to have fun and I'm going to play pickleball because I'm still that person. And I think just you not losing yourself is like the most important and most inspirational thing to me as not just like your daughter, but as like someone who looks up to you as a role model. I just want to always know that like no matter what hard thing comes my way, that I still am able to like be myself. And I 100% believe that because I see you do it with the hardest thing
Oh,
ever, you
thanks.
know? You're welcome.
Look, I knew, Lisa, that would make you cry, and I'm getting choked up myself. So I want to have you back, and both of you back, and I want to tell everybody quickly, if you are in Nashville, there's a chance you may run into Sammy singing because she's a fabulous singer and songwriter, and so you never know what star Sammy's going to be hanging from soon. But the way I've been ending my podcast, and you kind of did it, Sammy, but I'm going to start with your mom. Tell me something good about your life with Parkinson's. Just tell me something good.
I found pickleball, and my sister is my partner, and we've become really close. And I've had a lot of good conversations with my husband that's brought us closer together. And I know that my experience is going to be different because I've learned so much more about the disease than I did with my dad. Sorry to cry, but I'm a crier.
You and I both are. We've cried many times together. How many times just on phone conversations? Sammy, is there anything else that you want to say that's something great about your mom's life with Parkinson's? And that sounds kind of crazy, but because I know for me, I'm grateful, Lisa, that I met you and that we are friends. And so that is something really good about this
Definitely,
crappy illness that
100%
we
agree.
have.
I mean, I'm grateful that you looked so damn good at my wedding and that you had that motivation and that dress and your hair and your makeup. Your makeup looked amazing. Um, and I just think it's got me excited for when which one of my brothers next gets married, or just the next thing that we have to look forward to and plan together. Even if it's not a wedding, if it's just something we decide on and we make a little goal or a project or
Yep.
whatever. I just really enjoyed doing that and getting excited about that together and then going and looking and feeling beautiful together. So I think doing more stuff like that is what's in store for us, because it proved to be a pretty good way to forget about Parkinson's.
I love it. I love it because you ladies are proof that Parkinson's doesn't have to be the priority and that living life and loving life is always number one. So thank you so much for joining me. Can I have you back? And I also want everyone to go look at the wedding video that's on our site because Sammy, you were the most beautiful bride. Yes, your mother was stunning, but I mean,
It's
what
her
an
day.
amazing,
Thank you.
your mom, when she was sending me those pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh. And of course I felt jealous that I wasn't invited, but that's okay. It's fine
I'm
because
sorry. I'm sorry.
we didn't know each other yet. So I'm sure that there'll be the parties in the future. Thank you both so much. I just loved our conversation, and I know that I would love to have you guys back. And maybe we'll invite your dad because I think he was a little jealous that he didn't get invited to this conversation, right?
Yeah, and I'll
That's
get
what
the
I heard.
genetic testing done too, so we can do it after that.
Right.
And the
And let
peptides.
us know how the peptides and all the good stuff and we'll keep it going. Maybe we'll get Sammy to sing for us next time. How about that?
Maybe
If you
so.
need a
Depends on how
jingle
much
for
money you guys
your
got. I'm just
website,
kidding.
she's been writing
Yeah, I
jingles,
can
so
write you a jingle.
That would
I
be
do.
fantastic.
I do write jingles now. Let me know.
I love it. Well, see if you can come up with a great one for This is Parkinson's and we'll figure
Just
out a way.
Parkinson's.
I'll send you
Yeah.
the website
Wait, how do you
link.
say your last name?
How do you say my last name?
Yeah, Volenec?
Volenec. Yeah.
Volenec.
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 Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right, all right, all right. My
Put
working into
that
the
to a
theme song.
jingle would be really not, it's not catchy. I mean, my sister had a record deal in Nashville years ago, and obviously her last name is Volenec, and they went with Chris Tyler because nobody's going to remember Volenec or say it right. So there you go.
I'll find a perfect rhyme, maybe. We'll see.
Okay. You ladies are fantastic. Thank you so much, and I look forward to the next time.